Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our discussion on AI-powered localization, enhancing global content for local impact. Today, we have explored how AI is transforming the way that we create and deliver localized content across the globe. We have an incredible panel of experts here with us today, and let me introduce them. First, we have Katie Lewis, oversees TransPerfect European Life Science Division. She is a vice president where she plays a key role in accelerating the development of commercialization of life-saving therapies using AI and advanced technologies. With over 17 years of experience in global content, Katie is passionate about improving content outcomes worldwide. Next, we're pleased to have Natalia Andreychuk, CEO and co-founder of Viseven. With over 15 years of experience in digital pharma marketing and content implementation, Natalia has transformed Viseven from a startup into global leader in MarTech service for life science and pharma industries. Under her leadership, Viseven has serves clients in over 70 markets with innovative solutions used by top pharma companies worldwide. I am Anna Zolotnitska, the head of PR of V7, and I will be your moderator today. Hello, Natalia. Hello, Katie. I'm so pleased to welcome you and to see you today. We have an amazing discussion. I'm just asking everyone to put your questions on the chat. Just let us know what do you think about this amazing discussion, and we should deep dive into it. Katie, I have a first question for you, and to start with you. So localizing content for diverse market is no easy task. We all know about it. We will talk about it a lot today. What are some biggest challenges that you have seen and how they can be effectively addressed?
Thank you, Anna, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited for this conversation. And I think that's a perfect question to start off with is, what are some of the challenges with localizing content and how do we address that? And I think to start, when you think about the amount of time and effort that it takes to put together and create a campaign, whether that's in English or any language, it's a huge investment. And so when now you need to localize it for a global market, that's an additional step. And so some of the key problems that we see is first, if you're speaking with a global market and people that speak different languages, translation often is something that has to come into play. And with translation, there's additional cost and additional time that comes into account. Another challenge that we see is that when you're taking global content, you need to make sure that it's going to resonate appropriately for that market. And there's a ton of examples out there of campaigns or taglines that are created, and then when they translate that for a different market, it's completely off. And one of the examples that I love is there's Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's a fried chicken company. They have a tagline which is "finger licking good." And when they translated that for China, the translation came off as "eat your fingers off." So not totally appropriate. So you need to make sure that, some of the original content needs to be adapted in a way that's going to be effective in that market. And then, outside of just the text, there's other things you need to consider. So things like colors, imagery, etc. And how is that going to resonate with the market? So, for instance, in Western cultures, if you have the color white, that often leans towards like purity or peacefulness. Whereas in China, white can symbolize like death or mourning. So those are some considerations you need to have. Then maybe the last kind of challenge that we see often is there's different regulations in different markets. And so you need to make sure you're taking into account local labeling or disclaimers, etc. So those are a lot of challenges. The good news is there's a lot of opportunities for addressing those. And I'll just quickly give you some insight into the things that we focus on. So from a translation perspective, I think creating a harmonized approach is super, super important. So creating processes that will empower your markets to leverage the global assets that you've created, but be able to localize them effectively. And one of the ways that we do that, and something we're going to be talking about throughout this session today, is technology and AI. And so technology exists today for localization that can interconnect with backend systems. So companies like Viseven or Viva, in order to automate that process and make it very easy for local markets to localize. And then AI is just doing incredible things to accelerate the speed for translation, help with the MLR process. And then the last thing, I know just having experience with V7, building AI into an MLR process is we're seeing a lot of advancements there. So when you're creating localized content, leveraging AI in a way that it can, put in that local disclaimer, it can be trained in a way to make sure that it's adapting the content effectively. So a lot of challenges, I also think a lot of opportunities, and we're excited to dive through them today.
Katie, thank you so much for a great answer. And hello, everyone. Great to be here with you. And the challenges are really tremendous, but the opportunities and solutions are even better. I just want to support you, like the localization strategy is a great part of the content strategy, and working with our customer on the global to local approach as the very right word to harmonize the approach. And yes, while we can concentrate our attention on how be accurate and how be more cultural, cautious, and more considering all the peculiarities of particular market from cost perspective, from vendor perspective, from every perspective we have in our strategy. Also the important point of this harmonization is to achieve the smooth connection between the earlier in the road part of the content strategy, which is modular content, which is one strategy for tagging and taxonomy and reusability of the digital content assets on the level of key messages, on the level of meaningful modules, with the ability to translate them seamlessly with the use of AI or ML, with the reusing them constantly, do not creating them from scratch. This bridging between the technologies means the true partnership and what we can achieve today by cooperation and by creating these multi-vendor synchronized co-working environments. I do support every word in your speech, so very good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for shedding light on those challenges. And now turning to Natalia. Personalization is a buzzword. We hear it everywhere. Everyone's talking about it, but especially in marketing. And with AI becoming more prevalent, how we can ensure that content remains not just personalized, but also truly impactful and engaging with local teams?
I don't want to go in deep within the technology, because technology does a lot of buzz around that. But as much as we are talking today about AI, so we have been touched in the first part of this conversation, conversational AI, and as we might know, like AI is the umbrella brand for many more technologies underneath, such as machine learning. If we are taking these machine learning things, and which is probably victimized by domination of AI brand, so we can talk about how we are able to utilize that to build the efficient models, which will help us to leverage the accuracy and the relevancy and the quality of the content we are producing in the end of the day, within the localization, within the transcreation, with every content process we have. What we are able to check, where we are focused today, and what we are able to check and proof check right now, we are able with our MLR pre-approval engine, which we have inbuilt in our EVZ platform, we are able to check, first of all, the possibility of having any grammar or any critical, cultural errors in the content, such as a kind of cruel content, whatever type of the unmatching content for the topic. We are also checking the references and their right placement in the content. We are able to check the complete package of the module inside the content asset and to see into the format if this is the right format of the asset which we are going to reuse. From the ethical perspective, we are checking messages, we are of course checking many things, but this is, as I say, pre-MLR, because the final thing is to be done by professional, because in the end of the day, the ethical thing which is also like the highly risky for our health need to have been validated by professionals. So what we are doing, we are preparing the digital assets to be shipped out of our platform, and we are leveraging the modern technology so that we can check these things. But there are more which we can do, like we can, if we're using any data, patient data, we can check the anonymity, is this data anonymous enough? If we have all consents to use the data, all these type of things need to be validated and checked before the content is shipped out. And this is done by technology. And if we are using only technology, there is no remedy. So there must be the governance in place. So where you will have additional validation of the ready to be used content. So that's for sure. So that must be in place. Katie, what do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's amazing. I think it's just awesome to hear all of the different AI opportunities and use cases that you've built into the platform already. And I think you're totally right. In any of the ways that we're leveraging AI in our process, especially for technical medical content, human in the loop is super, super important. And I think maybe just to touch on the personalization piece, because I think that's really important. And I think when we're looking at creating content that's really going to resonate with your patient or your HCP audience, making sure it's personalized for them is so key. And AI, a couple of ways that we're looking at AI for that is first, just for creating content. And that's, we've heard that it's prevalent now in the industry, and we pair that with humans. But I think what's really important about personalization is it's not just like a document for a customer anymore. It's not just a website. It's really creating content that's going to be at the right time for that person. And so we're seeing AI is also effective in doing things like creating videos or different media content or social media. And so I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of how do we leverage AI for creating various types of content. And my last point on that, when we look at personalization, a big focus for us when we build our models is like the training of it. And there's ways that you can train models to look at things like reading levels. Like if you want content to come out at a certain reading level so that your customer population can understand it, we're able to augment the AI that way. We train it with things like preferred terminology. If there's key terms that that audience is going to be using, we can have it trained that way. If there's certain imagery for a specific market that is really going to resonate, there's ways of training models. But Natalia, to your point, I think to date, I haven't seen any AI use cases that are just ready to go by themselves without some type of human review. But I do think that it's a super exciting opportunity for personalization.
Yes, absolutely. Personalization is thriving with the AI and with all the models we are building underneath. So that's totally. And I would say one of the most important thing for this AI and personalization is also being able to leverage the data sources which are already used by the clients, which are validated. So whenever we are making a rollout of a wizard, we are basing our AI engine on the data sources and building the models using the data sources of our clients, in addition to what we are used to train our models preliminary before the rollout. That means like we can really benefit from the experience of organization and have the stricter governance and more security of using data and addressing the concrete patient group or concrete HCP group. So that's totally true. And yes, the training is also happening in that way, that we are adding the sources, validating them, and always having client on the top of things. So it's continuous work.
Thank you, Katie and Natalia. We already start touching the perspective of personalized content. It is actually a continuous continue of our discussion. So I feel this is amazing that we have this natural flow. But Katie, can you add maybe something to personalized content, how it's influenced patient engagement, and maybe some best practices? You already touched this topic, but maybe you have something to add, or, like be more precise about this example.
Totally, yeah. I'd be happy to talk about that. And I think it's no surprise to anyone who's on this webinar. I'm sure that if you have personalized content for your patients, they're going to engage more. They're going to adhere more to treatments. They're going to stay in clinical studies. So I think we're all aligned there. And there's a couple approaches that we find super useful for creating that personalized content. And I think the first thing is just making sure that you're doing the right research. So understand your patient population, understand what's important to them. And a couple ways that we support our clients with that is things like social listening. So we have tools that can listen into different social platforms or patient communities and understand what's important to them. What are their concerns? What are they talking about? What type of language are they using? And we then provide those insights to our customers so they can say, oh, we know that X, this particular adverse event of the disease is something that's really impactful. And they create campaigns and content around that specifically. I think the second way that we help with the personalized content and we recommend is just with creating content with your patient audience. And so engage them at all stages of the process. So during clinical study design to when you're creating disease awareness sites, et cetera. And if you discuss with advocacy groups, et cetera, they'll share their opinions and experiences and feedback and really welcome that opportunity. I think a third way to really create a personalized content is to explore different diverse content formats. And so I'm talking about things like videos or infographics or interactive tools, and that really caters to different preferences, different literacy levels. And you want to ensure that that content is going to be accessible and engaging for a wide group of patients. And so I have one customer who's like always really doing forward-thinking things. And for one of their clinical studies, typically when you have the informed consent process, what it is, patient gets like a 20-page document that they have to read and sign. It's usually really technical. And so what this customer decided to do, they're like, you know what, we have to, based on regulation, give this document to them to sign off, but we're going to create a supplementary video that is animated and really engaging and really helps them to understand in an easy way what the study's about. And the feedback that they had from patients was just amazing. Another approach, another one of my customers use, which I love, is for one of their pieces of content was they created podcasts throughout a study. And so in lieu of, they wanted to engage them, and everyone's listening to podcasts now. So this was an easy way that when you're riding to your, to a site for, your visit, you can listen to experts talking about the disease area or what they're seeing in this space or where it's going. And so I think looking at diverse content formats is really cool. And then probably my last point is that's really important for personalization and kind of what we're talking about today is just making sure that you're adapting content for that particular patient culture or linguistic requirement. That's not only translation, but we see that in things like if you have like a contact center and patients have the opportunity to call in, make sure they have people that speak their language. They want to feel like they're heard and be able to communicate. This is obviously a very challenging, time for them. So those are a couple of the things that I do. But Natalia, I'd love to hear if you have any recommendations in this space too.
Yes, I do agree with your every word. So like this diversity of the content make a big jump in personalization, and all of this very true. And what is our role in that? We need to make it affordable, because whenever we talk about more content and the more patients population, so we need to understand that there means like more content to create, and that means more content to localize, and that means like we not always organizations are prepared to these vast budget spendings, and we need to make sure like we are able to deliver, as the technology vendors, we are able to deliver a solution for them, so they can really leverage all of these formats and channels, because we are specializing on this, especially on these parts, that we are able to deliver the very same content within the different channels. Because as you just saying, Katie, there must be a call center with the different channels. Just today in the afternoon, I was talking about the webinars, because it is just the very same content assets, the very same emails, landing pages, and all of the same package, but somehow they are delivered by different platforms and different vendors, and they mean like additional budgets, additional time, additional effort, and then we can multiply on the time and the effort of localization, translation, and making it personal, and we will see the number of effort we will need in total, and then we want to stay harmonized and connected. So that's why the one of the main important messages, so we need to simplify ability to create this highly personalized content across different channels. Like, it should be holistically, it shouldn't take a village to create the very same content for the just different channel or format. So, and we are specializing in that field. So far we have achieved to make sure like we are not reinventing wheels over the CLM presentation or any type of the presentations. All type of the emails are there, the banners, the social media messages, so are there. So we are going broader and broader within channels to make sure like we can cope with more and more format to support your ideas.
Yeah, and Natalia, I think your point is so valid. Like, it's easier to say like, hey, you have to start creating all these different types of content, and that's daunting, and that's also costly. And I think one of the coolest opportunities with AI and with some of this automation technology is that it's going to reduce the cost for doing these activities, for localizing content. And what we've seen across our clients is it isn't that like they just have stopped translating or stopped spending that amount of work. It's that they've actually invested in different channels or different types of content, or maybe, they have customer populations that they never translated for because they couldn't afford it, but now they actually do have budget for it. So I think AI is really going to help companies spread their wings a bit more for personalized content.
Exactly, and there will be no hurdles as a format and channels as well. So we are going to be there.
And I think it's clear that content need to be personalized and precise. From something that you, Katie, and Natalia were talking, I have the next question for you, Natalia. How does translation factor into ensuring that accuracy and effectiveness of localized content? What is a common pitfalls that organizations should avoid? Because still they have so many, as we discussed, challenges, but what should they do to be more clear about it?
Yeah, that's, we have been talking from the beginning of this conversation. Where are the, barriers? And Katie opened this topic quite clearly. I think we need, first of all, let's scratch the baseline. We need to stop doing the repetitive works. So we need to understand how we are not retranslating once again and again the very same content. So AI and technology is there for us. So like we need to make sure like we are really not doing repetitive work. So we are reducing the workload. This is all about reducing the workload. Then of course we need to take care about the accuracy of translation, fluency, about being sure that the cultural gaps are there. So, and within the training, constant training of our large language models, and the quality sources and the quality of those trainings and the human touch, we are really near to beat that barrier as well, because we are more and more using these kind of tools, and make sure like that all of our platforms have this AI touch and like we are talking today about chatbot-driven CRMs, right? So then, if we're talking about that, so what we can't do about our content, we can do everything, right? We are we are not in the green grass anymore. We can generate the message, we can check all the accuracy, we can check its fluency, we can check the consents. Everything is now traceable and checkable, and whatever we need to take care about, I think. What is undermined today. I have talked a little bit about that in one of the webinars already, but I want to repeat that we are all really possessed with the trend of AI, but we are not really thinking enough about how we are going to deploy it. The deployment of AI in organization is still undermined. So like we are not spending too much thinking of how organization will deploy this machinery we're building, whenever all the business stakeholders will be on board with these decisions. Because whenever we are talking about accuracy and quality and all the remedies we can bring with technology and speed up and accelerate, we must also think about the business value and to have all the business stakeholders on board with our ideas first. So we need to have this commitment from them and to have them on board. And it sounds like a little bit as a backward planning with the onboarding of the decision making. So to make sure everything what we will implement in the next iterations will be implemented and deployed, because very often one of the biggest challenge is fear and less of trust to what was built with AI to be deployed in such sophisticated, high risky and high regulatory sphere as pharma and life sciences. And that is the biggest I would say blocker. It's not that we can't, it's like we won't, because we do not have enough support and commitment.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points, and tying into like that importance of having that, holistic involvement internally in your organization. I think it's also making sure that everyone's clear about what AI can do, and then also what are the types of human efforts you need built around that. And especially when we're looking at like translation accuracy, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. Like, it's pretty critical for medical content that you're accurate. Like, you mess up one number and someone's life could be at stake. And so, our recommendation to organizations is that AI, and there's a lot of use cases where just leveraging AI by itself for, translation is accurate. So we're seeing it effective in things like safety case triage. If you have like internal communications, like AI only is working, but like anything like a digital campaign or a disease awareness site, we're recommending having human experts around that in order to review and approve. But I will say something that it's interesting. I think people get the point that like AI isn't delivering perfect translations yet. I would say I'm seeing less of companies being like, oh, we're just going to leverage AI for translation and thinking it's okay. I'm seeing more reluctance to even start leveraging AI as part of the translation process. And for anyone who's listening that does have that reluctance, I just want to be very clear. AI is being highly effective in the translation process and is helping to reduce costs and timelines in a secure way. There are ways to do that when built with human in the loop services. So I think it's a great opportunity that I almost feel like companies don't like have a little bit of hesitance around right now. So I think we also need a lot of confidence building that it can be super effective in this space.
That's totally true, but I think like why do we have this reluctancy? Because this is the very old paradox when the tech people are against the managerial maneuvers and business problems. They think like business problems are not connected to tech things, and otherwise vice versa. Business people do not touch the techie problems. They say they are too techie, so we do not touch these technical issues or whatever. But that's why I do not mean that each of the two species need to live in each other pockets. No, but we need to have a little bit, more training and a little bit more understanding from the both sides. Like the people from technical side have to understand the why such nice ideas could be met by reluctancy and be not approved. So they need to understand the business goal first. They need to be more involved in that. And the business people need to understand the basics, how large language model is working, why it is safe. So what are the sources, the data sources under the solution? So they do need to be sure that how they are accurate and safe, and if they will be sure about the safety of these solutions, so they will be able to commit to them. So it's like they're very easy to say and difficult to do, and that's why many of nowadays successful projects, I think, they are around checking the digital maturity level of organization, bringing up excellence in omni-channel, excellence in localization, excellence in content strategy. And these projects are ongoing projects. Like, I think they are also bringing better maturity level for entire industry in terms of how we will be using tech in the future.
Katie, and I think that first of all, it's excellent point, but I think that you already start talking about AI, but how we can use technologies, especially AI. Of course, everyone wants to know about AI being used for streamline the content localization process. And maybe you can have like this special cases where it was like extremely effective or something that you could share with us.
Oh, 100%. I'd be happy to take that one, as I'm super passionate about this and excited about kind of the opportunities that are happening. So a big focus in what I do is helping companies leverage technology to integrate and create an interconnected ecosystem where you can create local content. And so in TransPerfect, my organization, we have a translation management system platform. It's called Global Link. And what it does is it integrates with 80 plus different backend systems, one of them being Viseven. And the beauty of it is how it works is you literally just click a button in wherever the content's created. So Viseven, Vivo, whatever it is, and it pushes that content through an automated workflow. So what you're not having to do is like download a file out of a system, draft an email a language company, that takes a ton of time. And what we've seen that integration does is a couple of things. It helps to get, if you're trying to get local markets or in-country buy-in to a centralized localization process, the easier you're going to make it for them, the more they're going to adapt it. I think what we're also seeing is it drastically reduces the amount of time that teams are spending managing the translation process. And an example is we have an integration with Vivo, we're one of their gold partners, and we did an analysis for one of our customers on how much time it was taking them to manage translation if they were doing it manually. And what we found is that on average, for one document, it was taking them 19 minutes just for one document. And they handle like hundreds, if not thousands, of commercial documents every year. And when they created the integration where it's just a button that pushes it through an automated workflow, they reduced that time to less than a minute. So we did all these calculations and we found out at the end of the year, they were saving like the equivalent of 2 full-time employees. It was pretty amazing. And then maybe the last opportunity with an integration, and Natalia talked a lot about this earlier, is just it gives you the ability to reuse and recycle content. And that is something, it's a huge recommendation that I have is there are tools that allow you to store any translations that you're doing, so that instead of translating the same thing over and over again, you translate it once, and then the tools will then populate future translations with that. And what that ensures is if you have like an omni-channel campaign where you've got a social piece and you've got a website and you've got a newsletter, you can just recycle those translations. So I think that's really key. And then I think technology is also, we're seeing it being hugely effective in reducing the time for the medical, legal, and regulatory or MLR review process. I know Viseven's done a lot around, automating some of the MLR requirements. we're doing that from like a local perspective, from a localized perspective, where we can help with populating like local disclaimers, etc., so that by the time that content gets to your final MLR review, it's like near final, and they just need to review and say, yeah, I've got what I need there. And then I guess if we could kind of call AI technology, I was kind of bunched in there. Just the amount of progress that AI is making in this space is just really exciting. So we've recently started deploying, well, historically in the translation world, what has been used in the past 5 years is something called neural machine translation. But we've started leveraging large language models as part of the process in our technology. And so what happens is the neural machine translation will deliver an initial translation iteration. And then instead of sending that right to a human to review and update and edit, it then goes to a large language model, who then will do that first review and be like, is there anything I can correct here? And then it goes to a human. And we're seeing that from leveraging LLMs in the process, it's reducing the time that it's taking humans by over 15%. And there's other technologies out there. We have a platform too that allows you to leverage large language models to like augment text too. So if you get a translation from, you know, an AI powered translation, if you want to make that translation more formal, or maybe you want to make it more brief, we have tools that have prompts. So you can click a button and say, you know, reword this translation for me, or whatever it might be. So I think that, I think that technology and localization, it's just, there's so many exciting opportunities. It's going to keep growing fast. I see we had a question about the future, and I know in a few minutes we'll be talking about that. So yeah, it's a good time.
It's a great time when we can have such meaningful interactions between the platform, and our connection with the TransPerfect is just an amazing speed up from the upstream of the content creation process, when you're just at the stage when you are having the global files and you're at the stage of having to kick off the local campaign. So this connection will amazingly speed up every company into the global to local model. What we can else add, so like from the technology perspective, I think there are many. So what the most recent discoveries of AI recognition engines and the other technology which is connected to AI allows us do not invent the taxonomy and tagging systems each time when you are having the new channel and you interact with the new system on the new device. We have created under the hood of our eVisit platform such possibility. We are calling it central tagging solution, which is allowing to tag centrally every digital asset. So like then reusing it in number of integrated solutions. You are not inventing your tagging and taxonomy system from scratch. It's also working with the automated engine underneath. So the recognition and automatic tagging is in the package of that. And it helps actually to connect the dots between the different channels, as there are many channels like webinars, like events, and even sometimes web channel is quite disconnected from the other channels, which are emails and presentations or documents or IVAs. So this connectivity is possible to keep through this central tagging solution. We also automated campaign planning. So it was our dream actually, because as an organization who is always delivering digital services and building a lot of digital assets, we were killing our clients with the question, how many assets will you need this year or this month or the next month?
Mm-hmm.
And you can understand, like with the personalization and with the campaigns which are changing on the flights, then campaign manager is just adding the channels into the campaign like a magician. So who will predict how many assets do they need? Only those who are taking end-to-end commercialization project, maybe like taking a brand and grabbing it end-to-end, and this is the agency. And since we are giving the control over that to our clients, so we want them to know how much they want to create, how much budget they want to spend on that, how much reuse we need to boost, and everything on what we have talked before. And this is really, within technology, it's getting possible to connect the campaign planning with the content creation. So this is what we are doing, and I see, like, successfully, thanks to our clients and their ideas and their input. So, and we are continuing to invest into this campaign planning, into the journey building, into the journey organizing, and reflecting it on the content on flight. And this is a very good shift to our next topic. What we will imagine, will we build the content on flight? Right now, we are already generating, with the large language models, we're generating messages based on pre-approved earlier documents. So our AI in Elizabeth can generate messages and can pick up the image and reference to this message. But let us see what will happen next.
We totally agree. And I see that there's a lot of excitement about AI. Everyone wants to implement AI, right? But it's still some skepticism. And how do you see, Natalia, that AI-driven efficiencies will still ensure in the medical integrity of content?
I think we have briefly touched this topic already, because a part of this dilemma, part of this technical misunderstanding and ethical, but all of them to be addressed. And if we will have the right governance in place and the right understanding, but whenever if it will be driving the efficiency, yes, because here we need to talk about precision in medicine, precision in communication, precision in treatment. So that's personalization we are looking for. So from my perspective, like, if we are shifting the gears from talking about the communication to purely medical problem and medical fields, so it will impact our life tremendously. Because one of the fact, I have been meeting one colleague from New Zealand recently. She is working in research institute. I will not name the institute, but what they're working with oncology problems, and we were talking about, like, some project whenever we can, having not just a video generating tools, but kind of a tool which can HCP actually use on the visit of a patient to show the prognosis, but not on the paper, but to show the prognosis and the location of tumor and location and the future developments based on the model of the human body and the concrete situation of the tumor and its shape and its size and everything. And they have created such project, and they have been using it, and now for the research purposes, they do have negotiations with pharma companies already, so they can spread these technologies. But I can see also very proactive steps from pharma field, who wants just to have this type of the engagement with HCPs already, where we will be providing not only means of communication, but the means of communications which are special, which which are really helping to bridge the gap between patient and HCP, and bridge the gap in the meaningful way, which is bringing the complete understanding of the situation. So that's really amazing what is possible.
Yeah, and I feel this is the next question we would have about future, and it's always, of course, like really interesting. But we also have a question about future. So, Katie, this question would be for you, and of course, Natalia, please join, because everyone wants to have some predictions. We love them and hate them all in the same time, right? But still, what should we expect from a future of translation? And of course, we can talk about AI, so I will just show the question on a screen, but please go ahead and let us know, what do you think?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And Svetlana, thank you for the question. I'll say, in short, the future is very bright for AI in translation. And I think we're going to see it's already been advancing so quickly. And so we're only going to see that continue. There's a couple of projections that I have. First, I think companies are just, I talked a little bit about integrating AI and translation into systems, and I only can see that getting more and more common. As companies look to create ecosystems where they can embed translation into those systems, I think we'll start seeing a lot more of that. Also, we're seeing that companies are starting to deploy more and more modular content management. And historically, when translations happen, what we've seen is that's happened on like a document level. And what I envision is that as more companies look at modular content management, they're going to start translating right at the root of where that content's created. I talked a little bit about large language models before, but they're going to be playing a much bigger role in the translation process, where we envision them doing reviews of neural machine translation. So you're getting the benefits of that neural machine translation than those large language models. And I described the fact that we're seeing, from leveraging that, we're seeing a 15% efficiency, and that's only going to continue to increase and improve as it gets better. I think that we'll be seeing a lot more where AI is involved in actually performing the localization of content. So we're already seeing where it can help perform with like regulatory, medical, legal updates, etc. But I envision that's going to take a much greater play, where AI is going to be augmenting and localizing content like images, etc., in a more automated fashion versus having been prompted. And then I think one of the things that we'll see is that translation might actually just be replaced by multilingual content creation. So where, companies don't even start with creating like a baseline English content, but they're like, hey, we know that we've got this patient population in Italy and we want to create some content. We're seeing that large language models are helping to create that personalized content. We're going to use that as the first step versus having to go through a full translation workflow. And then I think just generally, if you are performing translation, my recommendation would be talk to your language partners about how are they deploying AI and how are they passing along efficiencies to you as a customer. And so in the line of work that we do, we're always tracking the performance of the AI on translation. And as it gets better, we reduce our rates, we reduce our timelines for our customers so that they're, it's getting better in an accelerated fashion, and you all should be reaping the benefits of that. So those are some of the ideas on my end. I didn't know, Natalia, if you had any thoughts on your side.
I do agree with you that the future is bright. From my perspective, translation for pharma and life sciences will be dominated by a combination or co-piloting of a hybrid model where AI will be working in combination with human specialists, human experts. I think that AI will continue to evolve, offering more sophisticated solutions, processes, and really extrapolate translations to the new heights. But human translators and human perspective, in my opinion, will be still a very valid point in our sphere, at least, because we have been talking about a lot of cultural aspects, a lot of accuracy aspects, and the others. So that would be really a hybrid model where we will focus more on training humans how to work with AI, because it's really interesting how we used to say, I will do this with AI, which is totally not true, because this is the paradox of automation. When the automation is happening, more humans are needed, right? So then we are talking about, I will do it with AI. Maybe we need to rephrase it like, it will be us who will be doing the work and AI will be helping us. So AI will be not actually doing things, but we will manage the things with AI help underneath. So that's the hybrid and collaboration I'm foreseeing for the next. And this means the humans, us, must be trained. We must understand technology better, and we must be very, partnering in this collaboration. So that's the investment humanity must do.
I really do agree with both of you. It really should be all about a cooperation, collaboration, and it's all about help and different perspective, right? Like mind shifts that should happen. And we have a final question for you both, Katie and Natalia, but Natalia, you go first. So, with many companies focusing on a global to local approach, what steps can be taken ahead of time to ensure local teams buy into the process of the program succeeds?
Uh, this is a very good question, because this means like it is touching all what we have been talking before: the understanding of technology, the cultural shift, the internal buy-in, and we really appreciate everything what is happening right now. Like, companies are rethinking what is their maturity level in digital, what are their capabilities, and what kind of new knowledge they would need to acquire as organization in total. So I think this is what to ensure that there will be local buy-in. We have to be absolutely clear that first of all there is a local understanding, so that we have the understanding which is spread across organization, where we are really have the proper knowledge set up. We have proper coaching. We have, like, there are a lot of projects, like there is even omni-channel university, personalization hub. There is like a lot of different projects we are involved today in, but they are all about the same, about maturity level of organization to be digital, to use powerful AI tools, to make sure we are having copiloting with the technology. We are not dominated by technology. We are trusting technology, not just staying along and seeing AI as panacea for this exact problem. We are not seeing that. So we are really partnering with it. So, and this is what I am seeing with the to ensure that there will be totally buy-in. There must be understanding, people must be on board, and we must have the comprehensive maturity level across entire organization to make sure people can do this acquisition of the technology and innovation.
Yeah, I think that's all spot on. And it's funny, when I was thinking about the question of like, how do you get a local, country's buy-in to like a global process? Actually, my answer is not AI related at all. I think there's a couple things that we've seen be really successful with our customers who have implemented like content factories or global to local approaches. And the first is just having good communication and explaining the why behind that approach. So what is the time and cost savings going to be? And then map out, what is our process going to be? I understand why local markets would be reluctant. This is their voice. This is their messaging. This is something that they've been empowered to create, forever. And so making sure that you're very clear, this is our plan, and this is how we're going to ensure that your voice and your messaging is coming through in the localized content we create. I think that's really key. I think the second thing that's really key, make it super easy. So I talked about some of the integrations we have, like don't make it difficult or more challenging to the process they're already doing. If they can go and pick content in your system, your Viseven, your Viva, and click a button and get it localized, that's easy. And that's the type of thing you want to do. And then the last thing I would say is just empower those local markets in the process. And so, one of the things that we do is we have a process where we have a review platform. So if you want them to review the localized content and be able to make any changes, they can do this in this review platform and see in context. So if it's like an InDesign format, they can see how it would look like in that InDesign format and make their changes. And so you're capturing those edits and then recycling them in the future. So I think, it's definitely a challenge, but we've definitely seen companies do that effectively. And those are some of the key things that have really worked.
Exactly, supportive in every word. So, like the easiest process it is, the bigger crowd will be jump on board.
Yeah.
I really love this idea that like sometimes is simple is better, right? So this was amazing conversation, Katie, Natalia. I really like your synergy. I really like the topics that we discussed because we know that it's like super important, like everyone is talking about it. So now we have them. We unfortunately don't have much time left, but still, first of all, everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening, speakers. We can answer one question, but you always can reach Natalia and Kelty directly, and please do it as well because it would be like super easy for you. Just like scan a QR, go to LinkedIn, go to our website, and please just ask us the questions because we're always happy to. We're always very responsive as well, whatever on our corporate pages, or I'm sure that Katie on your page you would be happy to have some, like questions. And we
Oh
have a
yeah.
question from Anastasia that can any type of content be successfully localized through this technology, or is there some limitations?
Sure. I'd be happy to start, Natalia, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Anastasia,
sure.
thank you so much for the question. And when if we're talking about like AI and machine translation and large language models as part of the localization process, the answer is yes, virtually any type of content can go through that process effectively when paired with some form of human review. Where we've seen challenges is like if you have super creative content, and for our European audience, we know that in pharma marketing, we're not going to have crazy creative promotional content. But we've seen that for very creative content like taglines, sometimes AI hasn't been that successful, but you can leverage it and leverage a human around it. We've also seen that sometimes for like very messy PDFs, like handwritten documents, we see this often in like pharma safety or pharmacovigilance. It's hard to extract that content and replicate it in a way that is friendly for AI. But the good news is that there's new technologies like optical character recognition, which allow you to grasp that and leverage AI. So in short, it's, we're seeing applications for virtually every type of content.
That's true. That's true. I was also wanted to embark on these formats because this was the past like handwritings like were difficult, and that's the creativity. They also then if there is the overcomplicated of the structure of the document and like some dynamic agenda in it, whatever. So and it is not it cannot be modularized. So to be fed into the system in patches, so that's also would cause us the dilemma. Also I think we have been talking about this fluency and accuracy, so that's really also the challenge because what we have experienced there's like some of the very specific terminology, very specific like language linguistic things, right? So which could be also still misread, and there might be the mistakes still. But this is
Thank
in
you. Thank
progress. The technology is improving with the time. Once we are talking here, the technology is learning.
Thank you so much for the questions and answer. And I think we have time just for one more. This is something that I know that I'm sharing from my name, but this question we got on Natalia's page when we were start talking about the webinar. We continue talking about this topic as well. So can AI-powered translation tools ensure the same level of linguistic accuracy as human translators, especially when local dialects or medical terminology are involved? This is, Natalia, something that you mentioned. That's why I really wanted to bring this question.
Yeah, this is also like we can take together with Katie, because this is what we are experiencing, right? So that Katie, in the beginning of the conversation, where KFC example was a very good example with the chickens and with the translation and what we can receive as in some dialects, so that will be not really suitable. And this is the problem of this fluency, so which is still on in progress. I believe what we need to do, we need absolutely in the sake of this translation to become fluent, we need to continuously train the model. So that means we need to use the technology, so that's how we can copilot. So this is the to my previous statement, that we will be there will be a hybrid model of us cooperating with the technology. So we need, right now, we need not distrust the technology completely. We need to use it continuously to make sure, like, we try to train it to be absolutely human, and that's how we will be partnering with it. So then at the level that we will be able, within the time, to trust them, the technology, this medical terminology, and this accuracy we are talking about. Right now, we need a human, that's for sure.
I'm with
Katie,
you. We haven't, to date, we haven't seen any AI models that are delivering human level quality yet. It could get there, but I think there are ways that you can train models, and we have models that are trained specifically for train with the Medro terminology database, et cetera. So you can get trained models that are available for that. You can also, there are ways that you can train it specifically with data you've done before, so you're improving the quality. And there are definitely use cases where you don't need to have human in the loop. And I mentioned a couple before, like safety case triage or internal communications, or we're seeing sometimes just with legal documentation, legal teams don't need to, spend hundreds of pounds or dollars to get a big contract translated. AI is doing just what they need. But I would recommend for anything that's going to customers, HCPs, et cetera, that you have some form of human in the loop.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Katie and Natalia, for your expertise. I feel that it was amazing discussion. I feel that we definitely need to continue talking about it. So please follow us on our social media. Please follow Natalia. Please follow Katie. And have a great day everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.